This is a short biography written about the life of the great man named Silvio Gesell. This biography was written by Dr. Hugo R. Fack, who was the leader of the free economy movement in America. The headquarters of the American free economy movement was in San Antonio, Texas, and this was written in 1934 and was published in the money part of the Natural Economic Order, which was published in 1934 by the Free Economy Association. This page you now see is the conclusion of the Natural Economic Order, written by the great man Silvio Gesell, shortly before his life on earth was over and he returned to God. This conclusion was not in any of the other editions of the Natural Economic Order. He put this into the English translation just before his life was over, because he knew that it would be in America that this great work would be revealed for all the world to see as it should be truly perceived as the key to establishing the kingdom of God on earth. We will now read the short biography of the great man named Silvio Gesell. Silvio Gesell was born March 17th, 1862, at Sankt Veit, near Malmedy, Rhenish Prussia, which, by the Treaty of Versailles, was ceded to Belgium. He was the seventh of 9 children of a German Protestant father and a French Catholic mother. After having attended school at Sankt Veit, he was instructed by his elder brothers in languages and mathematics, and subsequently attended the gymnasium, high school with Greek and Latin, of Malmedy. His father, anxious to have Silvio enter the civil service, as did himself and his grandfather, had him enter the postal service. But young Gesell's dislike for the duties of a state official, with their limited initiative, caused him to venture 3 years later into life's open arena in business. Because of his excellent knowledge of foreign languages, the young man was entrusted with the responsibilities of a correspondent in foreign languages in a Berlin business house. In 1882, he accepted a similar position in Malaga, Spain. 2 years later, he returned to Germany and acquired the privilege of reduced military service by passing the necessary examination. After 1 year of service with the Guards, he re-entered business life at Brunswick and Hamburg. In 1886, he immigrated to Argentina and there established himself as an importer of surgical articles which his brothers manufactured. A year later, his betrothed, Miss Anna Butker, joined him at Buenos Aires, where they were married. His stay in Buenos Aires gave his whole life a decisive direction. Argentina, like other South American countries, was ill-famed because of her chaotic monetary policies. Successive periods of inflation and deflation disturbed the economic life continually, and fluctuations of the general price level and foreign exchange rates forced the keen and observant young businessman to ponder over the money and currency problem. The first important results of his investigations were published in 1891 in the Reformation of Currency as the Bridge to the Social State. In this pamphlet, the idea of an index currency and free money were already clearly established. Later in the same year appeared his booklet, Nervus Rerum. 1 year later came the nationalization of money. Impressed with the all-important relation of money to the life of people, he continued his researches, and in 1897 he wrote The Adaptation of Money and Its Administration to the Requirements of Modern Business. Here he made direct applications of free money to commerce and showed how important a knowledge of money was to the businessman. In the meantime, in spite of prevailing difficulties, Gesell had succeeded in developing his business to a position of commanding importance, thanks to his economic knowledge. In 1898, the Argentine government announced a vigorous deflationary policy. Gesell protested against this plan in his pamphlet, La Cuestión Monetaria Argentina, which later was translated into German as a part of his famous book, The Federal Monetary Standard Office. In this work he wrote, "The direct motive for this pamphlet was the protection of my own enterprises. Besides an importing business, I had a plant for making cardboard boxes, with which I supplied the industry of Argentina. I knew that if the intended currency policy should last for some time, the Argentine industry and, with it, my own plant, would be condemned to inactivity, if not to ruin. I wanted to know how deeply the fixed idea of a rigid gold standard was rooted in the minds of the Argentine parliamentarians and merchants, and whether hope was justified that they, made wise by experience, would revoke these foolish currency laws. I sent my pamphlet to all of the senators and representatives, to the press, to each and every one who had treated the currency problem in public, to all banks, to many merchants and businessmen. The result was nil. Gesell did not wait any longer. He foresaw the entire collapse of prices, and consequently, and consequent ruin of industry and trade. He went to a competitor and offered him his business at a favorable price. The competitor knew from Gesell's writings that Gesell had peculiar ideas and quickly accepted the bargain offer, lest Gesell, in view of the prevailing business conditions, should withdraw his offer. A year later, the whole industry of Argentina came to a standstill. 40,000 unemployed demonstrated before the government buildings and demanded restoration of business and opportunities of employment and a more vigorous applications of the laws to lower prices.